Hey, the next film I wanted to take a look at on our show is a new documentary that has come out. It's actually the last film of director Roger Michell, who sadly passed away in September of last year. This was the last film that he was working on when he died. It's a documentary called Elizabeth, A Portrait in Parts, and it's kind of a candid look at the ruling years of Queen Elizabeth II. Why it's called A Portrait in Parts is it's split up into little sections. Each little section will have its own song from pop culture, and it'll look at a different theme of part of Elizabeth's life, whether it be her early years, her pets, her life with her husband, her life with her kids. It's an interesting documentary because of that fact that if there is a part that's a little bit boring, you don't have to endure it for very long. It goes on to a section that you might enjoy. But at the same time, it leaves you answering a lot of questions. I guess you could say that the thing that the big positive about this film is also its big negative, in that it doesn't really go into great depth with some of the things that it's exploring. I still found it a worthwhile documentary, though. I really enjoyed learning more things about Queen Elizabeth. I'm of that generation where I wasn't taught that much about Queen Elizabeth when I was growing up. She was Queen. That's how we always saw her, was Queen. Of course, I'm in my 40s and I've never known life without Queen Elizabeth. But as a result of that, you also don't get to learn much about her history. And it's only been in later years that I've learned a little bit about her personality, which does come out in this documentary, that she's got quite a wicked sense of humour, which is something, of course, when I was younger, you would never have been told that Queen Elizabeth had a sense of humour. But things like that come out in this documentary. It's not really a documentary where you learn a lot of new things. You learn some fascinating things. But if you're looking for an in-depth documentary, this is not it. It does really just touch on the surface, and from the name itself, A Portrait in Parts. These little parts do give you some information, but it's kind of the documentary that you watch and you hear about a fact, but it's so touched on so briefly that you then have to go and do a little bit of exploring yourself to try and find out a little bit more about that fact, or that little bit more about Queen Elizabeth's life. But still, look, it's a fascinating documentary. There's some great footage that's never been seen before, or I haven't seen it before, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would be in the same boat. So it's definitely a documentary worth taking a look at. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5.